Okay, so why do we use graph? When we solve equations, we never talk about any graphing, because there's no need to do that. Because after you solve equation, like look at these 3 questions. Okay, your answer is 8% for first question. Your answer is, the second one is 1,000. The third one is 30. So there's no point for us to put the number on the number line, because if you say, okay, the answer is 8%, it's 8% literally is 0.08. So if I put it on the number line, okay, so it's going to be somewhere here. So you're just going to look at a dot, a point on the number line. It really doesn't help. I mean, it's 8% is simple enough, or 1,000 is simple enough, and 30 is very simple. So there's no point for us to graph it. But for inequalities, because whenever you say, okay, the temperature is, the highest temperature is 43, lowest is 25, but there's so many possibilities, so many answers. Okay, the temperature could be 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, all the way to 43, or actually more than that. It could be 25, the temperature degree. You could say 25.6 degrees, or 29.8 degrees. So there are many possibilities for the temperatures. So that's why having to graph it would be much easier for us to see either the temperature changes, or the profit, or the salary, how your salary changes. Okay, so let's look at these 4 cases here. We just talked about, the temperature. In the temperature case, T is less than or equal to 43. So this is what we do. So we don't have to, I don't need you to use the grid paper. If you want to use it, that's definitely fine. But we're not going to be as strict as when you just started to learn inequalities. So you can just draw like a number line, and let's just say put the number 43. Okay, so I have a tick mark right here, so I'm just going to mark as my 43. And T, temperature. So what do we need to graph? We are always graphing the unknown. T means, again, T, in math, we like to use symbols to represent English words. So T here means temperature. And why do we use T? Because today's temperature changes. It's not always 45 degrees. It's not always 25 degrees. It's actually changing. Okay, so we are, sorry, actually 43 or 42, 41. So we are going to graph it to show other people, okay, so these are all the possible temperatures. So how do we show T is less than or equal to 43? Now imagine this number line as your thermometer. You're looking at your thermometer horizontally, and 43 is right here. If you want to put a tick mark for 0, you can also do that. Let's say 0 is there. So which means, well, we know, so on the right side, the number's getting bigger. You will have, 44, 45, 46, 47. You don't have to mark all of that because 43 is kind of big. It's going to take us a while. So let's just put a 43 there. And T, the temperature is less than, that means you got to go left. So I'm going to use a highlighter. I'm going to start from 43. I'm going to go move to the left. So the temperature is going to go, down, 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 down. When do we stop? There's really no way to tell if I don't know what the lowest temperature is. So it could go down forever. Okay, but it starts from 43. So that's why I did not highlight any number on the right side of 43, because we're talking about any temperature lower than 43. Okay, so what about the case that T is less than 43? Well, the only difference is one has an equal sign there, the other doesn't. So we have to have a way in order to tell people, hey, there's a difference. And in the top case, the temperature can reach 43. In the bottom, it cannot reach because I don't have an equal sign there. So what we do is, so still we're going to highlight the numbers because it's still less than. So we start from 43, go left. My picture is a little over. Let me try to do it again. So I'm going to start at 43 and go left. So if I don't have a way to tell people these two graphs look exactly the same. So no difference now. I can still put that tick mark for 0 there, which you don't have to. So in order to tell people the difference between the one with the equality sign and the one without, this is what there are two ways you can do. One way is to use a square bracket to represent this 43. There is an equality at 43. Use a round parenthesis to represent that 43 is not included. That's one way, okay? So square bracket for the little equality below the less than sign. But you're going to use parentheses, like a round one, or parentheses for the one without a little equality sign. So that's one way. There's another way. So I'm going to do a different way here. So to use a closed dot, so the other way is to use a closed circle or closed dot. But when you don't have the line below, you draw an open circle or open circle. Pick the way you like, whichever. Both are acceptable in in math. So personally, I like the dot and the circle because I think it's very straightforward. In the bracket and the parentheses, it's sort of random. Somebody just say, okay, bracket means you have an equal sign. Maybe you can relate it somehow yourself. Square bracket, okay, it's kind of like straight, right? Maybe close to the equality, right? But round, it just doesn't have the, so maybe you can associate that way. That can help you remember. But I feel closed dot and open circle, this notation is much better because open circle, imagine it as a hole. So if you dig a hole at 43, you're not going to include 43. So there's no, t is not equal to 43. But when you make it a close, that means you don't have a hole there. It's kind of emphasizing, hey, 43 is included in there. Okay, so I personally like this symbol, but you can use square bracket and parentheses. Well, we have another notation which is called interval notation. You still have, even if you don't want to memorize square bracket and parentheses here, for the interval notation, you will still have, sorry, I guess, yeah, right here, actually, the interval notation we're going to talk about a little later. We are still need you to remember bracket and parentheses. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, and if you say you don't have a highlighter, what should I do? And there's another way. If you don't have a highlighter, yes, you can darken the line. Say you just keep darkening these numbers, keep doing that. Okay, it's not very efficient, and sometimes it's still not very clear after you do that. So if you don't have a highlighter like I do, you could start from that 43 and raise the line and put an arrow point to the left. So it's the same effect as highlighting the number line. Okay, or you really want to darken the line, just keep using your pencil or pen, just keep darkening those numbers. The same thing here, I could do the exact same thing. Okay, but this way takes you 1 second, right? But if you try to darken the line, you have to keep doing this over and over until you feel, okay, I think this is clear enough for people to see, right? Okay, so it's not a very efficient way, but it works if you want to do that. Okay, so similarly for greater than or equal to, we're going to be doing the same thing. So first put the tick mark 25 there. And so if you have a highlighter and you are going to start from 25 and you move all the way to the right, because greater than means the numbers on the right of 25. Starting from 25 and go above. And to distinguish the difference, and again, there are two ways. You can use a bracket or you can use a closed dot. You don't need to use both, okay? Just pick one of the ways. So again, I'm gonna just use a closed dot because personally I like that. And for the bottom one, I use an open circle. And then I'm gonna just, this time maybe I say I don't have a highlighter. I'm just gonna raise the line and do that, okay? Or if you want to just darken this line, and it's a little messy, but I mean, it works. Okay, so I will just do this. So any questions? how to graph your solutions. So if you have a highlighter, actually it's very clear when you look at the temperatures. Okay, so because I did not put all the tick marks on this number line because it's tedious. It takes a lot of time. But when you have a thermometer, you can look at it. It's going to be, have 26, 27, 28, 29. So you will be able to see, okay, the temperatures today will be going to be all these numbers, So many, again, there are many solutions, infinite many solutions. Okay. All right. I do want to talk about this special case here. So previously in these examples, I always start with t, the variable, and then greater than or less than, and the number on the right side. But what if you have the variable on the other side? So remember, you are still trying to graph x. X is the one we try to graph. Graph x. We're not trying to graph 1. So yes, we do need a 1, but what you need to tell people is what kind of numbers on the number line are for x. Okay, so when you look at this, I often saw this mistake. So students, they saw, okay, greater than, which means on the right. And there's no equal sign, so I'm going to put an open circle, dig a hole, so which means 1 is not included. So that's what a lot of students would do. Well, unfortunately, this is incorrect. So I put, you can see I already put incorrect, okay? Does anybody know why this is incorrect? Well, I mean, if I say going to the right is incorrect, we should know, right? Which side is correct, right? So you actually have to what? Make it go left, not go right. Or if you have a highlighter, you're going to highlight these numbers. These numbers are correct, okay? The right-hand side is correct answer. Okay, does anybody understand why the left side is incorrect, the right-hand side is correct? The right side of the graph is correct.
Is it like when the x is on the right side, you have to like flip the sign in the middle?
Flip the sign in the middle.
Like if it's greater than or less than, like you'd have to flip it each time, like if it looks like that. It's hard to explain. I don't know what I'm
okay.
Right here, but like.
So let me ask you. So in the incorrect graph, the numbers I highlighted are compared to 1. Are they bigger than 1 or less than 1? In the incorrect graph, the numbers I highlighted, are they bigger than 1 or less than 1?
Less than 1?
The incorrect one? These numbers?
Oh, that's greater than 1.
Greater than 1, right? On the right side, it's always greater than 1. I can put a few numbers here. So these numbers I highlighted are, the numbers highlighted are greater than 1. Are greater than, well, maybe I move it a little to the left so I can fit in one line. So the numbers highlighted are greater than 1. And remember, the number you highlighted are actually for x. So these numbers we just highlighted are x. So greater than 1, the symbol will be like this. So x is greater than 1. But look at what the inequality given here. What's compare x and 1. If you use English sentence to describe it, is x greater than 1 or is x less than 1? Remember alligator's mouth eats the bigger?
Is it greater than?
Wait, say clearly which one is greater. Because you can't just say the sign. You have to tell us which one is greater.
Oh, 1 greater than x.
1 is greater than x, which means x is what? Compared to 1.
Less than 1?
Yeah, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember, alligator's mouth always eats the bigger. So I can switch x and 1, but I have to flip the sign because 1 is bigger. Okay, so the mouth has to eat the bigger one. mouth is the bigger one. So 1 is bigger. So which means X is smaller whenever you say 1 is bigger. Just like, say, when you compare our ages, you're younger, which means I'm older, right? If I'm older, which means you're younger, okay? So if you already determine 1 is bigger, that definitely means X is smaller, okay? So if X is smaller, when you write it, X is less than 1, okay? So that's why if you use the incorrect graph, these numbers are actually, you highlighted, are bigger than 1. That's not what we're looking for. That's not what they ask you to graph. They ask you to graph the numbers less than 1, not bigger than 1. So your focus should be on X. So in the first homework question problem on the on homework 6, make sure you don't make that mistake. It's a little tricky, okay? Because with inequality, there are always 2 ways to say you are younger than me. So you are younger than me, you and me. But which means I can also say I am older than you. But when I say I'm older than you, I have to flip the sign, okay? So that make sure you don't make mistakes like that. And notice in the correct answer, so these numbers I highlighted because they're on the left side. So that would be 0, -1, -2. So all of these numbers I highlighted are less than 1, which is the correct answer because we do want to graph the numbers less than 1, okay? So this case, X, 1 greater than X, you should, if you get confused, you should translate it into English sentence, okay? Mathematical symbols are easier to write, but sometimes you have to convert back to English sentence to help you understand. So I would, when I see this, I would say, okay, X is smaller than 1, which means I have to graph the numbers on the left side of 1. Okay, questions?